screen sharing
Oh, yeah.
capabilities.
I can do that.
All right. So hello again, everyone. Chris Haven. I am going to go over just some basic technical analysis points. Just so you know, there are hundreds of technical indicators that can be used to help you with your stock choices, and you can even make up your own. And that's something I'm trying to dabble in a little bit on my own, but I'm not going to show you those. I'm going to show some more well-known ones. The first one is actually just pretty basic, and this is just, we're going to go over what the SMA is. So simple moving average. And what is that? Well, it's basically the average of the closing of a stock per day and takes the average over a given set of days. Okay? So basically, it's just like if you were to say, okay, I have 8 test scores. What's the average of my test scores? And you would get a percentage or a certain number. You add up all of them and then divide by that number. So let me go into what this actually can do. So I pulled up UPS, and before I kind of get into even just talking about the stock and the technical analysis, there's one thing I always want to emphasize, and the first thing is your candlestick. So what we went over last week was we looked over each candlestick where the green would mean, you know, from the bottom of the thick part. So I'll just choose this one right here, and let me pull up my little drawing tool. So right here is the opening, and then the thick part at the end, that's the close. So, and then it's reversed for red. So for red, it's where it started, and that's where it ended. All right. Now I'm using Thinkorswim. There are, you know, a multitude of different brokers. So in regards to how you set up, I can likely look at some other brokers and give you guys help on setting things up if you want to do that. Just feel free to shoot me a DM on Facebook, or I can we can pull it up maybe after the Zoom chat. So the first thing is when you look at your candlesticks, when I look over here, this says 5M. So my drop-down menu, it is a little bit different, but on all the broker trading stations, similar, something that may say 5M, 1M, 15M, H, D, WK. So again, M's just stand for minutes, H stands for hour, D for day, and that means each candlestick is that many minutes of data, and it's over a time frame. So if I select 15M, 5D would mean 5 days of data, and each candlestick is 15 minutes. But for right now, I'm 5 days and 5 minutes. All right, let me just erase that real quick. So again, that's just kind of going over the stuff from last week. So when I talk about candlesticks, like I was saying before, if I see 5M, that means each candlestick right here, that's 5 minutes of data. So 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, so that's 10 minutes together, 15 minutes, 20, 25, and etc. So this is the whole day for today. Now, when I'm looking or loading my technical indicator, that also plays into account how things are calculated. So we're just going to go with the simple moving average, and I'm going to click. So this, I click my studies. Now it generally is called studies, or it could be called indicators, depending on your broker and how the terminology they use. It could be intertwined. So it's either studies or indicators, or it could say tech analysis. So, and just to give you an idea, these are all the technical indicators on Thinkorswim. So hundreds. Okay. So I'm just going to do the simple moving average, and I'm going to load it. Okay. All right. Cool. And I have this line. Okay. Well, what does this line tell me? Well, again, going back, it's just the average of closing of a stock per day. Now, I said per day for a reason, because generally people will look at it daily, This I'm looking at 5 minutes. So this is the key point that I always like to talk about when you look at your studies or your um, technical indicators. Your length, and I'll write this out. So length equals amount of candlesticks included for the calculations of data. That's very important. And the reason why that's important, oops, I'll leave this up there, is the reason why is right here we have length. Okay, you don't have to pay attention to all the different, all the other stuff. Most of that you generally don't need to manipulate. But the length, this is 9. Okay, so this is where it's kind of tying into all the math nerds. Okay, so if I have a 5-minute chart and my length dictates the amount of candles that are included, so if I'm looking at this line right here, what's 9 times 5? That's 45 minutes of data. So what is this line telling me? Oops, get back. So technically, no pun intended on that one. Let me change right here. So technically at this red candlestick right here, that's taking into account the average price of UPS stock from a 45-minute range. So if I actually zoom out, it's taking into account these minute candlesticks to give a reading. Okay. Now with the SMA, this is it's just like a line on a graph. You wherever you want to point at a certain time frame. So if I go right here, roughly I know the average price of UPS from the previous 45 minutes is $167.10. Okay. Now, what a lot of people do, or some people, a good amount of people, is they just look at the daily chart. So I'm clicking to 1 year, 1 day. That gives me, now it goes back to what I said. What's the length? We set the length for my studies. And I know I'm doing some stuff that's kind of, you may not see, but I'm just trying to get you to understand the simple moving average, it will default to a specific length, and that is generally 9 on the brokerage, on the different brokerage platforms. I could change this to be whatever I want. If I wanted to know the average time frame, so now my time frame again, we're at days now. So again, my length is 9. 9 times 1 day, we have 9 days. So now, also one thing to consider, this talks about the time frame when the stock is actually trading. So UPS doesn't trade on Saturdays or Sundays, so those dates are not included. Okay, so when you think of 9 days, you think of 9 trading days. I can make this 20, and this thing's going to look a little bit different. And I'm just going to show you what happens when I click apply. So see, it smooths out a little bit. Now, why is that? Well, that's an interesting question. Well, when I take a larger average of stuff, it's going to take, a larger pool of data. So roughly this line will even itself out because I'm getting more data. It's becoming more clear of where it's going. So what can an SMA tell us, or a simple moving average? Well, it can tell us a couple things. Is it trading above where the average is? Is it trading below? What's the direction? Okay, and I'm going to go back to 9 because that's what most of, that's what it's defaulted to. So there's just a couple things we can look at. Let's just take a look at, this would be August, okay? So again, general consensus, UPS has been going up, and I'm just looking at the average, not, all the swings of or the trading day. I'm just looking at this line right here. Okay, yeah, so it's going up. It definitely had a huge hit right here, and that was when their earnings were. So, and that's what that little conference, or that little telephone and light bulb are. But it can tell us a couple things. One of them is it trading oops, is it trading above or below the average? What is the direction? it's ever been. So if I wanted to do a technical analysis, use SMA, or simple moving average. If I'm looking at, what does that tell us right now? Okay, well, UPS had agreed, even though a lot of things were down. So again, we were looking at the candlestick. Let me change one thing real quick, guys. Sorry. So I want to get all the information without having to look up. So I know, so today it opened at $167.54, and it closed at $169.18, $169.18. So UPS had a good day. So looking at this, I know this closed because remember green, if it's green, it's good. So it closed at a higher price. So technically over the last 9 days, even though there were some big red candlesticks right here, but that's how averages work. When you have large amounts of data in one day, that can throw everything off. And if you want me to do a math explanation of that, you can just DM me and I'll give you an example. Kind of like if you fail a test when you have all A's, that's going to affect your average, your grade average. So, and then what's the direction? Well, with this, since I see this originally going further up, it looks like it's continuing a trend going upwards. Now, it's had some rough patches, and if you remember us drawing our trend lines, well, I know the highest point it's reached in the 1 year's worth of data. We hit that high about a month ago, month and a half, 2 months. So at 178. And then obviously the low, we see the low, and this is from COVID, the $82. So when we're looking at it from a technical analysis standpoint, you kind of also have to gauge, well, what's the market doing right now? Like, are we good? General sentiment right now, I would say things are calm. Obviously everything took a hit with COVID, and then now we're starting to return to pre-COVID prices. Let me just confirm that actually. Well, with UPS, I guess that was a bad example because UPS is doing very well. But we can use this for anything. So with Thinkorswim, if you have the study loaded, it will save it to your window, so this window will save that study. So if I wanted to look at, I figured out the pronunciation for Planeteer. I'm kidding. We can see kind of where it's going. Okay, so today Palantir did not do as well as we thought. We can see I'm still looking at the same simple moving average. My length is 9, so it's counting 9 days. So it looks like it's had a very long, strong trend. Let me remove that thing. Okay, but now look what it's doing. We see a slight slope being negative. So if you remember back in freshman class, if you have a positive slope, it's good. Negative slope, but this is more of a parabolic. Well, not parabolic, but it's a curved line. So what can this tell us? Well, is it trading above or below the average? Even though we have this wick that went down here, it's still above the 9-day average. So could tomorrow be a whole different day? Yes. Could it continue to fall? Yeah, it looks like it too. We just won't know. But now there's some other more advanced strategies. Is it trading above or below the average? Look at kind of when this stock was gaining popularity. Even though there were red days, it's still been above the average. And so as a trader, as a day trader or a long-term trader, that can be useful knowledge to you, because you're thinking, hey, this stock is going up. So there could be a multitude of things, but there's a couple things to consider. Is it going to reverse? Which it could. I mean, it did here on this day, and that was a good day to buy in, which I actually did. And then I think I sold this day. But that can help you. Now it's still up. Now this could still continue to go up, 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 and up because it could be a wonderful company. Maybe they discover aliens. Who knows? You know, something that they have a good product. You know, they have a good business model. So you can't just think, oh, if this is above it, it's going to go down. Because yeah, it does sometimes, but it's still showing it to me. I'm seeing a strong trend, even though it's going down a little bit. But you know, if you think about it, if people bought back here for what, $10, would you want to take 250% profit? I would. Would you want to hold on to some of it? I would too. But yeah, I want to take some profits because think of all the other people. They want to take profits too. That's why you can get some of those days going down. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So let's go back to UPS and now let's look at another technical indicator. Okay, and what's nice is we can actually use these together to get more of a thing. And I briefly talked about what relative strength index is, and I'm going to leave these guys up there just because I want to continue that. Well, actually, I'm going to remove that one. We'll get that. Actually, we'll just get rid of this. Okay. So this is another technical indicator, and this is a popular one. I would think the next one that I'm going to talk about is probably the most used by people. But what is RSI? It's relative strength index. It's basically, and I'm just making it just very basic. It's a little bit more complex than that. But I know some people may be thinking, hey, you know, that's not really what it is. But I'm just seeing it a basic understanding. It's just showing the strength of a stock price. I don't want to say percentage. In regards to being overbought or oversold. Okay, so overbought, did I spell? Oh, okay. So if something's overbought, so if a lot of people buy it, just with Palantir, like I made, you know, if the stock is continuing to be bought, green, 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 people are going to want to sell. So overbought is likely going to mean people will sell. Okay, oversold. Think about it this way: if you sold a bunch of cars on a car lot, you need to get your supply back, right? You need to buy more cars, so people will buy. Likelihood. Okay. So, sure. Okay. So let me add that one so you can see. Okay. Oops. There we go. So we're going to still use the day. Now I'm going to go to my studies, edit studies, and it's called RSI on mine. I think. It's not. Relative strength. Okay. Now, with some technical indicators, you may not want to use it on your graph. You may want it above or below your stock chart. This is because when you, oh, this is different. Give me one moment. Sorry, guys. Why does it say 6? Oh, correlation. That's weird. Oh, there it is, because I'm not paying attention. Okay. So, still the same concept, your length. The default for RSI, or relative strength index, is 14. So if I have a day chart and I have 14 length, that's 14 days of data that it's analyzing from the previous. Okay. When it talks about price, it analyzes the closing price, and there's a whole bunch of different things. You really don't need to pay attention to these unless you really want to fine tune some stuff. You can do the average type, just leave it on default. I can go over what these mean because there is some mathematical difference to it, but in regards to just learning it, that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to apply. So okay, I have this graph down here. So basically what this indicator is telling me is, okay, if a security is purchased or sold a certain amount of, or a certain percentage, then is it indication that it's going to be sold or bought? And that's what this guy is. Okay, so and now the one thing though is there's some limitations to this indicator. Is there's all this red, and I'll go into what this is. Okay, but if I was trading based on technical analysis, now the rule of thumb is when it crosses the 30% or the 70% line, and these are the lines right here, these yellows, indication for buy or sell. You can change these. Now, there are some people that say, hey, this should actually be 40% and 60%, which that actually makes sense too. But if we're just going on the basics, so if I were to look back, so I'm going to go, so we're still at the 1 day. So I'm just going to look right here. Okay. Oh, that's a really bad example though. Sorry, I probably should have researched one that looked a little bit better. But okay, let's go right here. Okay, see how right here this red line crossed the yellow line, and now it turned into a regular color, just a regular line color. Okay, right here, that is an indication that it has been overbought, and now people are selling off. Okay, so what I would do at this point, if I was a or if I was trading, and I see this, that is I want to short it, or I want it to tell the broker to take the security, and hold it for me so I can buy it back at a cheaper price. Short, UPS, and I'll draw an arrow so you can see. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, Chris, why do I want to short right there? Why not somewhere else? Okay, well, I see this is still increasing. Now, even though you see these lines increasing and going all over, and it looks similar to where the stock price is going, it's actually not. It's taking, again, the average data from the previous 14 days. So from right here, I short it. Okay, now, I don't have a crystal ball. Could this have went down and go back up? Yes. But luckily for this example, notice how UPS, it went up a little bit, but notice the strength still went downwards. It's because it's taking the new average. So every time you go to the next candlestick, it's ignoring the previous one. So if you have 9 people in a row and you add a person, you cut off that last person if you're looking at just 9. So what you would do is you could trigger a stop loss, you could trigger a trailing stop. How you're trading, that's up to you. Okay, and then look, it went down, oops, down, but then it starts to go up. Now here's an interesting point right here, and this is why I was saying these percentage ranges, most of the time people keep it at 70 and 30. That's just what people consensually agree that it's good. It's a good percentage wise, and when I mean percentage, is kind of think of it like a battle between the bulls and the bears. The bulls are winning right now. Now it's time for the bears to take back, and then they're starting to win. So this chart is technically not an up or down. If you think of a stock, it's not a stock going up and down. We're just seeing where the strength is. Is the bulls winning? So the bulls are up here, and we got the bears down here. So another example is, and I'll go over this part right here and this part right here, but I still want to just give you the basics. So if it crosses the 30, so if it's still down, me personally, it could be a signal for a strong trend downwards. It could be, something else that maybe I just don't know about. But I see right here, okay, so it approached, okay, but it's still weird. And so see, and now this is where I'm taking in my SMA. So if you look at, so which example we're at right here. Oops, let me get a little bit larger one. I still notice this line, this is curving downwards. So I'm taking now into consideration this technical indicator and the moving average. Now, if I were to not even look at any of this, we can see it, and that's what stinks, is because a lot of these examples, they're archival, meaning it's data that's been set in stone, so it's hard to make a determination. It's easier to find examples because they're here, okay? But I can still see this is going downwards. So yeah, I get a signal right here. It's up to you. Over here, see, this is blue. It's been down below the 30%. This is a good trend that I'm seeing, that hey, this is still going down. But right here, it's still going downward, but it's kind of flattening out a little bit. So maybe I'll wait a day and take a look. Well, see what happens. See if I would have waited. Okay, that's not good. But in terms of what just technical analysis only is, this is now passing the 30% line. So you would say buy UPS. This technical indicator is a little bit more complex than the simple moving average. So are there any questions in chat that I haven't seen?
No, it looks like we're pretty quiet today, so I think.
Oh, so hopefully I'm not boring everyone. But, I'm kidding. Rid of that. That. Okay. Oops. All right. Let me throw up a current example, because I trade futures. So let's see if I can see something right now, just to see if I can see anything. So I have still my moving average. And I do a 5-minute. Now I'm going to go back to the day. So if I were, and this is live, just so you know, this is live data right now. Okay, so if I were to look at, and so NQ, you can see right here, E-mini NASDAQ 100 index futures. So this is a futures contract for the NASDAQ composite, or this follows very similar to QQQ. Just this trades 24, well, starts on Sunday, ends Friday. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Thinkorswim, or is this interactive, or?
Oh, this is Thinkorswim. Interactive brokers, I use a independent software for that.
Okay.
I use an API. The one thing that stinks is, since there's a lot of different brokers, there's a lot of different charting. Thinkorswim, me personally, I think it's easier to use in terms of just with one hand. Everything's there in front of you. You can see it. I know a little bit more advanced because I played around with it for a while, but Thinkorswim's a really good, a good starter platform. I know, I know Webull has a pretty nice interface that I want to play around with. Also, is it TradeStation? Ken, do you know that one?
Yeah, TradeStation. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, TradeStation's a pretty good one too. In terms of setting things up, if you know how to change your candlesticks, so your time frame, that's a big thing, and knowing your lengths. So when you include your studies, if you see right here, I can see some of this data. So simple moving average, price on close, 9. So that means 9 days because we're daily. If I chose this to 15 minutes, 9 times 15 minutes. This is the RSI, the 14, so that means 14 candlesticks, or because it's day, it's 14 days. This is the top, and you can change this stuff, which is cool. And you can change that in the other platforms as well too. Okay, so just looking at these futures, if I were not to day trade this, but to do a longer term trade, let's take a look. What do I see? Okay, well, I have my simple moving average. So that was what, 9 days. So it's still, I mean, it had a little rough patch right here, but it's still going. Yeah, it's starting to curve a little bit. So this could still go up. just like an example right here. Let me turn off the floating box now that you guys can see that. Oops. So see, yeah, this went down, but it still gradually went up. So again, we don't know, where things are going to go because anything can happen. We could discover aliens, or there could be a war, a trade war. There could be announcements on something. So just because we have technical indicators doesn't mean it's always going to work out. But they're tools that can help us guide to see the bigger picture, because it could be harder to look at a lot of this stuff and do it all in your head. I don't feel like doing it. I don't think anyone else feels like doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people may feel like doing it, but I don't. So, but what can I generally see? So since after, this was COVID right here, I can tell because this is February to March, but there's been an increase. Okay. Now, if I look at my indicator, oh, I get some red, and it passed that. So if I was just trading on technical analysis, that's where you kind of have to figure out, well, where's this going? So what would I do? Okay, so let's look at real time. What would I do? Okay, so I look at my percentage, it's 58. Okay, so more bullish. Now I also I'm considering this large red candle, but just even looking at it, there's been small greens for a long time, even right there. Yeah, some days are weird, but there was a big decrease today, or yesterday now, or today, but in terms of the trading world, yesterday. So, and I'm still looking. Okay, this is still above 50. So, kind of to get an idea is, if it's above 50, this stock or this security is bullish. If it's below, it's more falling bearish. So you can use the 50 mark to determine, but what I like to say, it's kind of like a coin toss. I'm right at 58, and that's 8%. So it's kind of like I wouldn't know. I would not want to enter this trade. Now, if I were to zoom in, because if you recall from last week, when the closer you go in, you're getting a microscope. But when you're going further out, you're seeing the bigger picture. So if you want to day trade something, yeah, you could totally. All this would change when you go further in. I see there's a question. It says, possible those red drops, people day trading. It's the top of the 70-30. Yeah, that's possible. There's just so many different traders. I mean, you would be surprised on if you think about the whole stock exchange, how many trades are executed per second.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if you dissect the second into milliseconds, there are some big traders out there that are millions upon millions upon millions that may just have technical analysis, and so some of them can move the market, but it's hard to move this particular security. Maybe more like a penny stock. That could be it. What's a penny stock right now, Ken, that's gaining momentum, you think?
I mean,
We'll do fun. Okay. So if you see right here, so I still have my technical indicators. Okay. Now, if I were to analyze this on a technical standpoint only, okay, we've got some blue right here. But look, this is going downwards. I don't know if I want to touch that. That could just mean that it's in a good downtrend of people selling. It's going down, down, down. So even though this is below, you could still make a trade from this. So if it's going down here, now again, you may want to keep a keen eye on this, because you're thinking, hey, this may rebound back, which it did, but we don't know that all the time. Okay. Now let's analyze this one. Okay, now this hit that part. It turned red, but that was that day in May. No rhyme on that on my time. But it passed the red. Now, me knowing it's a penny stock, and usually penny stocks I think can be not pump and dumps, but a lot of people get into it because they hear about it, they hear about the news, but then a lot of the big boys they'll sell.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I would not, I would be scared to enter this trade. Um, and I'm trying to find real life or real securities that are trading right now to give you an idea. Not giving you advice saying, hey, I wouldn't touch fund, but I'm just saying based on a technical analysis point, this is iffy because look, this is all over the place. Whoop, and then it does a roller coaster down. This was the ride upwards. It still rose. So if you even see, my moving average is still showing it going upwards. But my RSI, my relative strength, it's not showing that. Now, I do see some other things, but I'm not going to go into those. I'm not seeing what's called divergences. I'm hearing about IDX. I'll do IDX. I'll take a look. So Ideanomics. Okay. So this would have been a good time because you can see there was a major ride up, but my RSI is. But again, this was still going upwards. So that might have been an iffy. That's, you could do that one. Now, here's what's interesting is this was going down, 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 down. And I think this was when they talked about, oh no, maybe this was when they talked about, oh no, this is IDX, not Kodak, sorry. Or IDEX. So like even right here, this would tell me to short it or to be ready to short. But see, it's still red all the way up. So this is a big indicator that this is probably pretty strong. I may actually want to buy it. But I'd be careful though, because it only goes up between 100% and 0%. I don't think I've ever seen something hit 100 because doing the math wouldn't make it. It's kind of like those theoretical things, where I mean, it could be 0, but yeah, it's not going to. Okay, but now it's going down and down. Oh, but now look, okay, it's going up. Oh, huge red. So I don't know what happened with this. I don't Ideanomics. I'm sorry, guys. I don't follow like every stock. I wish I did, but what I can see is look, there was a huge uptrend. With the simple moving average, I can see I have giant candlesticks, and now this is starting to decline. This may be a time to short.
Yeah.
Now it's still bullish because it's above, but it's right at the cusp of 50%. So that's kind of when you want to start paying attention. Now, could they announce something tomorrow? Sure, but just on a technical standpoint, not even right here would I short it, but I'm seeing this is going downwards, and I'm still on a day chart. So this is 3 days. I'm seeing a downtrend. Okay. Now, again, with stocks, it's not like the old days where you throw a dart on a dartboard to pick out what stock it's going to be. There's market sentiment because now, especially with a pandemic, there are more emerging companies that are more not prosperous, but are getting more attention than others. There's just so much. There's just a multitude of factors. I'll go to Kodak, but let me read this question. Software program runs day trading with program run if and then on a moving average cross point and selling the spread moving average like a software made to run. So that's high frequency trading. And is that what you're referring to, Christian? Because there are software programs where you can set parameters to do things. I have one. I'm not sure what. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So I'll go to Kodak real quick, and then I'm going to talk about one more. What's Kodak's thing? Is it Eastman Kodak?
It's Eastman Kodak. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, geez, this stock has been trading at $1 for the longest time, and now it's a pharmaceutical company. I'm joking, but so this was the announcement of they're going to COVID vaccine or whatnot. I don't remember exactly, but if I were to look at this, okay, so it seems to just kind of trade in between. So if you were to have taken your Series 7, if you know a stock is within a certain zone, is what I'm seeing right here, minus the last couple of days, this would be where you'd actually want to short either calls or puts, or have covered calls and protective puts, or I'm sorry, covered calls, or you could sell puts, because this is slowly decreasing, but it's within a $2 range was what I'm seeing. Now, on a technical standpoint, this looks like it's going upwards, and it's still bullish. Now, again, it's just the same thing with profit taking. And I know this from this blue bar right here. This means the volume. It doesn't match what the price is, but this is a high volume. And if I were to look into this, so for whatever reason on Monday, there was some news that came out apparent. I would just assume, but then profit takers sell. So that's why this could skew it too. But my simple moving average, this is still kind of showing upwards. I may want to buy. Now, knowing last week where it was at, do I want to get in at a higher price? Hey, that's if you want to wait, or I'm sorry, not wait, but if you want to hold it for a longer period and think it's going to go up, yeah, this could be a good time to buy. Now, some traders may be like, what are you saying? Why would you say buy when the indicator's at 58? You need to wait. Well, it's up to you. But then again, these will change and mold over time to where this still may be blue, but it could be at 30. We don't know. And that's why some of these, and that's why we talk about logarithmic and exponential stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. I'll go over those other two real quick, but I do want to talk about one final indicator, and that's the MACD. And the MACD, sorry, I know I've got stuff all over the place. This means the moving average, convergence, and divergence. Oh my gosh, what does that mean? It's actually, all it does is it's taking your two moving averages, and it's showing when this could be more for short-term trading or long-term too. And so let me actually remove these so you can get a better picture, because I don't want to overwhelm. Even though this stuff may be overwhelming at first, but I think over time when you start seeing how it behaves, it can make a little bit more of a makes more sense. Okay, so again, I always want to check my length. So fast length, 12. So again, lengths always mean the amount of candlesticks. So I'm on days, so I'm going to look at the 12-day moving average, and I'm going to compare it to my slow moving average. So 26 days is a slower line than 12. Okay, MACD length, yeah, I could go into that, but let's just look at the basics. I'm going to do a more volatile stock. No, I'm going to do. No, you know what? I'm going to do GE. That looks better. No, UPS. Okay, so what is the technical strategy for this? Okay, so you've got your histogram bars, and then you've got two lines. So the strategy is when the lines intersect, that's when either you buy or you sell. So when the moving averages cross, you buy or sell. All right. Now, it's nice to use more than one indicator because there are faults on everything. With all these, you can get what's called false positives, even though something's going up. You can get, or false signals, sorry, not false positives. So let's just look at a major one right here. Let's look at just this, okay? So, and let me change one thing because you can actually add. You can actually add the arrows. So what the arrows mean is it's telling you when to buy or sell. So hey, things are going up. But now when you're looking at the MACD, and this is what's some of the issues with technical analysis, is it's just providing you data. It is a computer, and I'm going to say this, computers are very stupid because they only can do an input and an output. They don't have human thought. So the technical analysis point is this crossed, and since they're both going upwards, so you see the uptrend. So this is saying that over a longer trend, it was selling, but now shorter trend, more people are buying. So it's kind of combining those two moving averages. So we were doing the 26 days and the 12 days for this example. And that's what the default's set to. So what that is saying is an increased number of people are buying this security, so UPS, on these given days, and it's now crossing the threshold of the longer average. So this is a signal to buy. And then look what happened. Whoop, it shot up. Okay. Now, if I were to change the dates, I could probably see exactly what happened, but that's what that meant. Now, this is still showing strength, and you can see it does go, but see, again, it's with math. These are large candlesticks compared to some smaller ones, so that can skew the data. But now look what happened right here. I got a trend, or I'm sorry, it hit. Let me put some arrows on those. Okay, so this would be to buy UPS, sell UPS. Now, and again, it just goes with the technical analysis. It's showing the average data from the previous points. So if I were to have bought right here, me as a day trader or a swing trader or whatever, a shorter term, I would probably set a trailing stop so it will trail the price of this, and then it will probably exit out maybe around right there, maybe right here. And then I'll wait for another signal. So yeah, you could have held on to it. You could have made more, but if you're just looking at technical analysis, you kind of want to have some safety nets. And then eventually right here, it tells you to sell. But look, right here and right there were literally the same price. So if I want to get into maybe some more, let's add in my volume. That is a good question. I think it does. Because it talks about convergences and divergences, and that talks about volume and price. But let me actually figure that out. Because there was one thing I didn't talk about with RSI. So it takes the exponential moving average, which is very similar to a simple moving average. So, but there is a volume MACD from what I'm looking at. Oh, so you would use the indicator that's volume weighted. So that would be like the VMACD. So this just does price only. So again, I bet you if I were to look at my studies, there probably is a volume MACD. Which volume weighted MACD. So, but this is just showing. But that's actually a really good question, because with RSI there are some things, some more advanced things, but I didn't want to go into them because I did 3 things, and so that's that's that. But let me just kind of finish this, and then I'll look at those 2. I'm going to go to studies. So how can we can use all of these together now? Some people think a lot of data in front of you is really good. That's great. That's awesome that you can interpret a lot of data at once. But just for simple trading, the more data, in my opinion, you can become overwhelmed. And so I'm just going to add, so this does take into account a moving average. So if I wanted to just do 2, I could just do the SMI to kind of give me an idea where it's going. So I can see, okay, so I should sell right here. The MACD is telling me that. Moving average was going up at that time, so maybe that's not a good idea. But then again, it takes into account the larger things of data, the larger candlesticks. So this could be a good signal, but we won't know. But going down, now again, now see this where it goes into, just because you're a technical analysis person, well, what's UPS really good for during this time of year? Probably shipping packages, right? I mean, that's what they do. But they're going to have probably heavy sales or high sales. So will FedEx and some other big time shipping companies. So this told me to sell. I'm not doing that. Me knowing UPS, I would probably want to go in, because there were 4 red days, and now there was finally a green day. If I were to go all the way back, oh, I don't want to go that far. But to answer the question would be to look at the volume MACD, and that's for Thai. So again, with the MACD, it's looking at the cross points, and that's your indicator to buy or to sell. So someone asked to go over AQB. Okay, I'm seeing a huge, strong trend going upwards. Even though there were red days, I'm going to add in RSI just to take a look. So when you hear about Ken or Dan or anyone else, when we talk about the RSI for the day or what the moving average would be, this can give you an idea of what things are going or where we're at. So let me actually add RSI in. I'm going to remove that. So RSI, we are in huge red, which means there could be a sell-off, because think, people bought this at $1.52, at $2.50, and we're at $8.67, but this is still going upwards. There is huge volume right here on this day. What was the volume on that? 31 million. Okay, for Aqua Bounty Technologies. That's cool. I don't know the company. I probably need to start knowing a lot of these companies. But this is looking like a huge, strong uptrend just by this. This is red. So yeah, maybe buy it, but I would probably wait. Maybe because this, I see 2 large red days, and this is what you would classify as a penny stock. So again, this can swing either way. This could shoot up to $30, but again, with these types of stocks, they are harder to determine. Sure, CRIS, that's what we're looking at. Okay, whoa. This is cool. I like seeing all these companies that I don't know about, and then
Yeah.
and just seeing how they oh, creating fish on land. Oh, cool.
Yes, I've got quite
Oh,
a.
Twee. So looking at this, okay, this now, see, this is where going into the moving averages, this is, I would call it skewed. And the reason why, let me erase this, is because, again, it's taking the average of this day, but then all these other days. So again, it's going like if you had, let's just say you had 8 tests that got 100%, but then you got a 0% on one of the tests because you ditched or whatever. That's going to affect your average. So this I would call skewed data, because this shot way up. But again, I have no idea what happened with this stock. They could have announced something really good, which, I mean, yeah, if they go from under $2 to now they closed at $7.69, hit a high of $8.36. So maybe they're onto something. Now again, I classify this as a penny stock. I mean, if you want to throw in maybe $100 or so, that's cool. The moving average is showing it's going up, but again, this data is skewed. But the last 2 days, it's been going up, 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 and I'm still on the day. So if I actually go to the 5-minute, so I guess kind of ending on what we're doing is if you change your time frame, your data is not going to change. And what I mean by that is the inputs. So my RSI is still at 14, so it's doing 14 times 5. So that's 70 minutes of data. So if you were to look for a time to enter, a 5-minute chart, that's a pretty good one. Maybe an hour if you want, because then you can kind of see. So if you see when I change it to the hour, it's still, but see, it's fizzling out. So it's kind of going back to where I'm saying you have the telescope, you see the big picture, it's like, oh, it's going up. But then when you start taking it, going into the microscope of things, it's starting to sizzle right here. And this is slowly going down. And I see I'd have to look at the volume, but I think I see a divergence right there. With that, so we're at the hour mark, so I think that was actually really good. Does anyone want me to look at any other little stock just to look at, just from a technical analysis standpoint? I probably won't know the stock, but I can say what I'm seeing. And this is just from a math point. This is not giving recommendation knowing the stock or the security.
So we had CRIS.
Oh, that's what we're at right now that I was saying. It's fizzling though.
Okay, and then we got
or sizzling, sorry. Piton.
Yeah, Piton.
Okay, so I'm on the 1 hour. So I'm just doing the 1 day. That's what a lot of traders, if they're a long term, they generally do 1 day. So I can see, yeah, Piton, pretty cool stock. Had some good stuff. Uh-oh, COVID happened. Whoop, whoop. And then, but now, and so I see all these I should short these, but look at the general direction.
Yeah.
I see strong trend going up, and this is per day. So these are, again, they're just taking the averages from the previous 14 days to then calculate this line right here.
And it looks even, like a trend reversal too, because you look at
because even right here to there, it seems like it looks like it's going to build and then it wants to drop, but I don't know where.
Yeah. And you can see.
And there's a major sell-off. But today there was a major sell-off for everything, except for UPS. So I kind of want to actually look into that, why UPS went up. So
MACD looks like it's about to cross. RSI looks like it's below the.
It's at 48. So it looks like it's going downwards. When I look at divergences, I always like to look past, and I'll go into what those are. Those are harder to find, and I won't even go into them. But if some of you know, then you'll be like, okay, cool.
So we probably just should do just one more. We got TRXE, and I thought you just did that one, and then we also have Sundial. I don't know if you want to just run through one or both at the same time.
Sure. Okay, so so this is a penny stock, so things can get cray-cray. But okay, so it's right at the cusp of into wanting to sell off because it's at 53. But look, it hit the 47 mark, but then it wanted to keep going up. So I'm not even looking at the candlesticks. I'm just looking, hey, it went down, and then now it's going upwards. So, but then again, see, this is where technical analysis, you have to also look at the bigger picture. Look at this volume right here. And again, this volume doesn't mean 2. This is another number. But for Sundial, now I'm assuming this is a marijuana stock? Sundial growers?
Yeah, I think so. It's like
so that goes into your fundamental analysis. We know that marijuana is likely going to have less regulation with the federal government, and state legislators are allowing recreational use. So would this make sense that this is going up and there's more volume? Yes, that makes total sense. Now, but this, I'm looking back. So again, I don't know the company's I'm sorry. When I said fundamentals, I meant sentimentals. But the company's fundamentals, I don't know. But then again, I know on the sentiment, weed is likely going to be more legalized, I guess you would say, in broad terms. And I'm seeing this is going up. It had a low of 13 cents, and now it's at 49 cents. And it's showing up. It's still showing. It looks like it could go down. Like it looks like it's maybe at a maximum for a parabola, if you know what those are. But again, just looking at it, it still looks like it's on not a solid trend, but it's on an upside trend. I can add the MACD to it. Give me a second. So yep. So it's showing. So when you see people talk about, hey, this could be hitting a trend reversal, this could be a signal to sell, because see, these two are now closely touching each other. Now, will they touch? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But it's looking like it's going up, and these may change. But that's why some of these, you have to interpret all of them and put them together. So this gives me one picture, this gives me another picture, this gives me another picture. It's just what you want it, what your style is. You know, do you have, I wouldn't say luck, but are you able to analyze the MACD a little bit better than looking at this stuff? Do you change how the MACD looks? Yeah, you can do a lot of that stuff. But yeah. So any other final thoughts, questions, concerns, comments?
No, I think we're good. So, Chris, I want to thank you once again, as always.
Yeah, thank you.
And guys, thank you guys so much for participating and joining us. Hopefully that you found this helpful. This is recorded, so we will be posting it up to our YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe to it. We do have a weekly newsletter, which once again, we're going to be increasing that to two new newsletters per week. So one's going to be on Sunday, one's going to be sent out on Wednesday. And this gives you an overview as far as what stocks and options we're playing, what things we see as far as our team, a little bit about our team. Chris, Dan, and myself have professional industry experience. We've worked at Vanguard, Charles Schwab, and Merrill Lynch. So we're not crystal balls, but we certainly have professional eyesight and kind of seen what happens on the other side of the screen, have handled hundreds plus $1 million in assets and managing for clients. So I think we can do a thorough job in helping you guys out. On top of that, if you guys want to get the newsletter, feel free to sign up as soon as you can. It does give you 2 weeks free. It also will increase in price after December 31st to $9.99. Those that subscribe before then would certainly lock it in at the preferable price of $5.99. If you want to also support what we do, feel free to invite other people to our group. And by all means, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll catch you guys next week.
Yep. All right. And again, guys, if any of you have questions, just send me a DM on Facebook. I